everybody knew what a downwinder was. We were the anti-nuclear capital of the world. I was an autistic kid. My father was a drafted United States Marine, an incredible man. I come from an incredible family. My uncle stood on Omaha Beach on D-Day. I grew up on a huge ranch out by the lake. He was a beautiful, incredible person. He was at Pendleton, combat ready, and they were human guinea pig. They were marched into the trenches in Nevada. They're called atomic veterans. He nearly died at the blast. Between 1951 and 1968, we had 300 open-air tests. Well, as different scientists started to write about this, Wallace Stegner was at the University of Utah at the time. I got to know him. Edward Abbey was hanging around there. I got to know him. I got to know all these environmentalists, and I was an environmentalist, and it was a passionate, intense subject matter there.
All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Bloomgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. All nuclear fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. Bloomgate, 311, whatever you want to call it. I call it Pacific genocide, whatever. It's fucking giant conspiratorial across all demographics. They'll be calling you a radical. May God have mercy on all of your souls.
Nuclear power was evolving. We were promised, oh, this can't happen.
Hey, UCY radio listeners and the supporters of the Post-Ignorance Project. This is Lonnie Clark once again, filling in for Kevin Blanch. I attempted to call him. He is in Europe, and he was actually followed and threatened by the World Health Organization yesterday. And I was hoping that I could actually have him on the show, so I'm going to make a mad dog attempt at attempting to call him and see if this will actually work. Let's see if it actually works. You'll hear the phone ringing. If he doesn't answer right away, we're going to hang up. But I'm hoping that this will work because it'd be really awesome if we could get him to tell his story directly.
Bonjour, comrade.
Hey, Kevin, this is Lonnie. We're on the radio right now. We're conference calling you from UCY Radio.
Oh, good. Comrades. How are you American comrades doing?
Well, don't call me a comrade. I'm no commie.
You got no choice. Let's see. All the redistribution of wealth goes to military?
Yeah.
Sounds familiar to me.
All of it.
Sounds 1970s Soviet regime.
How do you like that? We have enough money for the military, but not enough money. No money for Detroit. No money for the schools, no money for the reform of our social system, but all the money in the world for the nuclear cartel.
Yeah, the answer is cut $11 a month out of food stamps.
Yeah.
That's worked out nice. That worked.
If you earn over $600, we're cutting back your food stamps. How dare you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we know that shit. So, Kevin, I was really excited I didn't actually get to talk to you. You were texting me last night, and you were telling me about your story of what happened to you at the World Health Organization, and I wanted you to be able to tell our listeners about this. So,
well, it's a long ways to Geneva. It's on the French border, and that's where the world's running. And Credit Suisse, the banking oligarchs, all of it there. So the World Health Organization and the UN, I went there to protest. The permanent protesters are set up there, but I finally found them. But so I set up my sign in front of the UN. Did a protest there for a couple hours, went pretty good. Nobody bothered me there in front of the UN, So then I get up to the World Health Organization. That place is so bizarre, and so I go into the front, find the front door. By the way, they have an orange ribbon at the front gate. That's the leukemia sign. That's how sick they are. And so I talk to the guy at the front, and I'm like, okay, I'm here to protest. Can I set up? I just got my sign. I want to wait here. shoot some videos and protest here for a few minutes as people come out. Let's go. Oh yeah, you're fine. Just it's public property. As soon as you go out the door, it belongs to the city. You know, we only own to the front door. Oh, good. I didn't know that. So I can set up on the sidewalk. You know, and if so I did. I wasn't there for a minute, maybe two. Swarms of them come, and they ain't nice. And they're all French. And by the way, the security's run by the French nuclear industry. And I mean, real pricks. I'm like, okay, I can't park there. I go across the street. That's obviously a public park between two buildings. Oh, you can't go there. Why can't I? You own the city? No, you can't. And then they got rid. So then they got like 6 of them on me. Oh, okay. I'm not going to go up against you guys. Just evil pricks. We don't speak English. You speak French? I said, fuck no, I don't speak French. Oui, 9, I told them. And so and they're just pricks. And so then I moved down into the next corner. Here they come. So they're all over me there. So then they tell me, oh, you go across the street over there, and that's where the permanent protesters, they have a little booth set up over there. And there was only one there, and, they got them in this little corner, in this little teeny I don't know how they don't get hit. Right on the intersection. I'm like, really? This is where you're putting me? So, I told them to fuck off. And so I did some work with her there, took some photographs, and I head down the road. Well, they follow me. So then, I'm in town. They follow me all over town. So I shot some videos in front of Credit Suisse, in front of Toshiba's headquarters on the French side, believe it or not. Right there in Geneva, right next to Credit Suisse. So I'm doing some work there. They're following me everywhere. So finally one of them comes up to me and tells me I need to get out of town.
What?
I'm like, really? Yeah. Told me I had to leave town.
How many people were following you?
Well, anywhere between 2 and 6 at a time. But then it ended up 2. So I'm like, yeah, you need to get out of town. I'm like, oh, yeah. And, it's a weird place here. I'm right on the French border, and I'm like, fuck. All right, okay, fuck you. I'll get out of fucking town. So to the train station, and so, I buy me a ticket to go across Switzerland, and they tell me which train to get on. Well, they tell me the wrong train. They're on the train with me. It's just me, this girl from Switzerland up top, and they're there watching me. So we travel long ways. That's when you called me on the phone. They're still on me. It's, it's so beautiful, picturesque. And finally, I just jump out of the train on the next stop. And I go, hurry and get down into the ticket booth. And I says, well, I got to get out of here. I got to find a night train to maybe Vienna or somewhere. She says, you're on the wrong train. You can't get anywhere from here. I'm like, well, that's the one they told me. Well, they told you the wrong train. Then she says, there's the one train right around the corner. She says, run your ass off as fast as you can run. They're ready to go. She says it's the first-class train, but you can go. Just go. Nobody's on it. They won't. Just run. So I ran as fast as I could, right as the doors closed, and I got on it, and off I went. And so they weren't able to track me. And across there, and then to Zurich. And then Zurich, I just went to the window, and I said, give me the night train. I don't give a fuck where it's going. Just get me out of here. Where's the night train going? They said, the only night train, they said, is going to Vienna. I'm like, good, I'm on it. Here, how much? They're like $180. I'm like, here, let's go.
Wow.
Fucking scared the fuck out of me.
Wow.
And pricks, big fucking pricks. The 2 guys you can see in the video I put up today.
Kevin, they are murdering masses and millions of people. You're like, you're the squeaky wheel. They obviously don't want you anywhere near them.
I don't think they want anybody anywhere near them.
Of course not. They're murdering the fucking planet. They go to work every day ignoring the fact that they are murdering the planet.
I told them right to their face, and I'm like, you fuckers, you're supporting the biggest mass murders in the fucking world. They gave me leukemia. I'm a cancer survivor. Don't you understand? All I'm doing is trying to make a protest in the name of cancer. You can get cancer, too. No, we don't speak English. You speak Francese? And I says, voulez-vous kiss my fucking ass, I told him. I told him to fuck off.
So now where are you, Kevin? Are you in Vienna again?
I'm in Vienna at the film festival right now. By the way, Post Ignorance, the film's debuting here right now at the film festival.
Really?
Wait till you see this video. Yeah, they don't know that, but I'm crashing this party. But it's raining hard here. The weather's been freaking nuts in Europe.
Yes.
We went from record highs. Hamburg had the all-time record high in the history of the city last week to record cold within 1 week.
Wow. Wow.
But you think the activist community is fucked up in the U.S.? Come to Europe. The only place that's really got it together, they got it together in Austria. They're the shit here. They're the best activists in the world. They're anti-nuclear. They're anti-GMO. These guys are organized in this country, big time. And but the rest of Europe, oh, they make us Californians look like we're sophisticated and organized. That's how bad they are.
You know, it's the complacency. I've been talking about this quite a bit on my videos and to my friends about, it's just that whole thing of like the complacency. My friend Ed says we have to remember we're the first generation of a populace. We have been sort of brainwashed from birth through television and radio. We've had these mass movies in our ear. And we've got a huge challenge because these people have been programmed to just not give a fuck about life. That's really what it's about.
Well, the whole earth, it's no different in the United States than it is in Europe. This generation believes that the earth's nothing but a big cultural theme park. Just to suck air, extort, rob, they don't care about the future. They don't care about the environment. They just think it's Disneyland. The whole world's Disneyland. I mean, you ought to see it here. Maybe not so much in Austria because people don't know where it's at, but Prague, Budapest, Denmark, those there, they don't even dare open their mouths there. Their government's so freaking radical there, and Nazi, and everything costs so much money. They don't get shit for their money, and they don't even dare talk out there. That's what, and most of Europe, they don't even give a shit. The only place, and Germany, by the way, I had some people we're talking 3-4 years. Come to Berlin, come to Berlin, come to Berlin. Oh, you could stay here, had it all set up, and then I get there and they all dupe me. They're so fucked up in Germany as far as Berlin goes, but,
well, it's ironic that you mentioned Disneyland because Walt Disney had a major hand in selling us the peaceful nuclear atom. Remember that little cartoon, The Peaceful Atom? That was burned and ingrained in people's minds. And, this gets me back to what happened to you in Berlin. Like, they said that these people have been talking to you for years, and then when you get there, they start peeing their pants and can't help you out. You know what I mean?
Well, think about it. Okay, so this woman calls me on the phone. Kevin, speaks very broken English. I don't speak Deutsch. I don't speak German. So I'm like, okay, and you come to this address, well done, and I'm like, really? I don't even know where the subway is. I mean, you can't come pick me up at the train? And so I'm like, okay, tell me this. How would you like it if you landed in L.A. and I just gave you an address and you don't speak English? Good luck to you. That's the way Berlin is. So, and then I'm there for, 3 days. Nobody, nowhere, nothing. And same thing happened to me in Sweden, too. 2 different addresses. Oh, you come to Sweden, talk to me. Call me on the phone. That costs a lot of money. Call me on the phone constantly for the last 3 years. Now they get over there and they're afraid. They're cowards, just like we are in the U.S. They're all cowards.
I think
not in Austria.
This is what we're fighting is the cultural cowardice. I think that's exactly right. And people are really, they just want to they know that things are grave, so they want to make the best of what they've got. And it's really seriously like battered women. It's really sad, but it's
how comfortable for it is to sit and watch my videos on their couch. They're so comfortable they can't get out in their own country. Like I said, I mean, that's too much risk. Oh, God forbid.
Well, we need to the thing is, what people don't understand is we need to get out, we need to protest, we need to demand not one more spent fuel rod be created. We need to stop this because it's not getting better. The news from Fukushima is worse. All up and down the east coast of Japan, cesium-134, 137 contaminated the entire east coast of Japan. You think that's not going to happen to the rest of the planet? It's going to be serious.
Yeah, and they all know that here in Europe, by the way. In Denmark, in the Czech Republic, in Austria, they all know it. They all know it. They know all the details about the Pacific, much more than the Americans, but, they don't give a shit. I mean, well, they give a shit, but like I said, Austria is very well organized, and, I mean, their activism, but the rest of it, they know it, but they're like, whatever. And they just go on with their fairy tale. go drink beer, go to freaking dinner, and
I want to talk to you about the fundraising because your trip to Europe is about 3 times more expensive than we thought it would be because you do not have places.
I can barely hear you. I can barely hear you.
Okay.
Let me move a little bit if I can. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I want to talk to you about the fundraising efforts that we're having to do right now because we had planned on Kevin going to Europe. People had told him he could stay there, and now we're all of a sudden confronted with having to spend an extra month on hostels and things like that. So we are actually looking for more fundraising for the Post Ignorance Project. Ackerman seems to think we need about $3,000 more. He's lived in Europe quite a long time. He knows what it means. So I want to.
Yeah. Well, I'm back to where it's cheaper, but I've been doing this on a shoestring. I'm eating very cheaply, but I've done it on very little money. Because I still have my bills at home to pay.
Right.
So, but I have a small mortgage and whatnot. So, but like I said, I don't have any place to stay now with anybody. So. And, I'm trying to go to places where it matters. Like, there's a nuclear disaster going on in the Czech Republic, and it's out on the Austrian border, and so there's a lot going on in this part of the world.
Wow.
Well,
what's going on at the Austrian border, Kevin? What are you talking about?
Well, there's a reactor out there in Czechoslovakia on the Austrian border. Well, it's actually on the Slovakian border that they put in shutdown a few months ago. Had some type of an accident. And they're just lying and lying and lying. It starts with a D. It's DOM. I can't pronounce the name. But then they came out just here last week and says, oh, we're going to keep it in shutdown. They obviously got some kind of disaster going on out there. Now, I went right by the reactor on the train. I mean, I got photographs of it, but I didn't dare get off, of course.
Oh, no.
No. And so, people in Austria are talking about it, but when I got in the Czech Republic, of course, I was in Prague and I was out through the countryside and, people don't know. The media is horrible over here, by the way. The media is you have seen it. You think our media is a disaster? You should see it in Austria or Denmark. You got a few oligarch families that own it, and they don't get any news. It's pathetic. Now, Germany's some pretty good news coming out, but
wow.
You should see this state-run television in Denmark and in Austria and in the Czech Republic. It's all state-run, and it's pathetic. I mean, so they're so uninformed. Everybody I talk to says that we watch YouTube, or we're looking at the internet to try to find anything in even our countries. So they just don't know.
Wow.
That's the problem.
Wow. So they're just keeping it. What do they think they're going to do? Keep everybody in the dark until all their kids start dropping off like flies? Like, what are they?
You would not believe the people in this part of the world with stories of cancer. Oh my God! And then the Chernobyl necklace is on so many women's necks here. But I mean, it's big time. Everybody here, in this region. Oh, do they have stories? Like I said, Austria. By the way, I want to say this: in all of Europe, because you want to buy a souvenir, or shirt, whatever, you can't buy. They're all made in Bangladesh. Everything except for Austria. You go in Austria and buy a souvenir like a shirt, and it's reasonably priced. By law, they have to be made in Austria.
Huh.
So. Yeah, the only place. The rest of the place, oh, fuck, it's so fucked up, the rest of fucking Europe, and the prices are outrageous all through, the rest of Europe, and they're just like us in the U.S., that, they're being taxed to fucking bejesus and just cutting their safety net and not getting it back. They're doing the same thing globally in Europe, as they are in the U.S. Denmark reminds me exactly of the U.S., what's going on.
Wow.
Same, the whole region. So they got the same fight going on, but there's no activists here. Here in Austria there's some, but the rest they ain't shit, and they're fucked up. Now Germany there's supposedly some. I hear some, but
I think that really, really speaks to the grooming that has happened to the entire modern culture of in order for us to live comfortably, we have to accept whatever death the nuclear industry or the energy industries are going to hand out. People have been groomed to believe they need their television, they need their electricity, they need their vehicles. They have to have all these conveniences. And if they speak out against the immoral practices of these energy companies, then they're speaking out against their own countries. And I think a lot of people are just very, very afraid to speak out They don't want
Yes.
to be considered an oddball. Like,
Oh, they're scared.
I mean,
No doubt about it. Well, and you could see why what happened to me out at the World Health Organization. Fuck, who wants that shit? You know, I'm a pretty tough dude, and fuck, you know, I can handle that. That was some scary shit when they're on the fucking train. Oh, you, and this is in Switzerland. I mean, I'm not in Russia.
Well, you know, the false equivalency of that is, if we had 50,000 people in the streets, the fucking cops would be shaking in their boots, not the other way around. That's the issue. We really, when we say people need to get out in the street, we're fucking dead serious. Like, we're really, the only thing that is going to stop these bastards is our bodies, and we need to make a statement. People need to get out. We need to get away from the computer boards. We need to really step out, and it could just be on a consistent, regular basis. Just formulate little groups, 10 people.
Yeah, we need foot soldiers. We need foot soldiers. We need people, you know, and like the Million Mass March, we got them there.
Yeah.
You know, they're anti-nuclear, but, you know, we show up once a year. You know, come on.
Kevin, how long ago was that? That was quite a while. This is the point. We need consistent, regular.
Yes, all the time.
Like,
by the way, before I forget, you know, there's breaking news here in Vienna because all these pieces of shit are here, and they've supposedly struck this marquee deal today. So get this, and I'm right by here. So get this: the UN's not just out there by the river on the Danube where I protest. They're also in the Imperial Palace right there in the old Emperor's freaking giant palace. There they are right there. So I went right over there, stood by the door here just a couple hours ago with my sign and protested there. Right there is this so-called, which is just a shiny ball, Rover go fetch the stick bullshit. You know, oh, we struck a deal with Iran. Iran's no threat. The nuclear reactors are the threat.
Right.
And so it's just shiny ball bullshit. You know, here, Rover, go fetch the stick. You know, and so while you're out fetching the stick, then they mass murder and rape and rob.
Right. They were so worried about
that, like I said.
I mean, that whole bullshit about it, the whole Iran is a threat to the Western world. Iran has never acted in a warring ever. And they're not going to just...
Well, let's get real. When Iran in the 1970s, you know, they threw the fucking Shah out and had a democracy, a true democracy, elected official, and the United States CIA whacked him.
Right.
You know, killed him. And so the whole lot, you know, you got the secular, like I said, I showed you those pictures. I met these young guys in Berlin from Kabul, Afghanistan, and they've had to flee, and nobody will take them. So they can't live there, and so they've got asylum in Berlin temporarily, and so here's these young, and by the way, very educated. And we were talking, I said, yeah, I can remember, you know, when I was a boy saying what an exotic place it was to go to Afghanistan. And I said, 30 years of us, oh, fuck, you should hear their stories. And they're so well educated. And, I mean, it's amazing. And they have nowhere to go. They're fucked. Look what we did to their country, so they have no future.
The fact that they are very well educated makes them a threat to the powers that be. That's the first thing.
Well, it's because of the war machine there. That's why there's no thing. It's not even their own country. It's fucking the United States military presence over there.
It is the war machine. It is the war machine. And it is the, you know, actually I said this on a video last night. The fucking U.S., the reason that the U.S. military has the biggest weapons arsenal on the planet is because they're run by cowards. Because our country is a cowardly nation because it takes more to use your brain than it does a weapon. And people who use weapons are cowards. And these people, their word means nothing, so they have to impose it with physical violence. And this is what they can't.
Yeah, they've lost all confidence. America used to be a self-confident nation. You know, we weren't fucking the bully around when it was our great nation, when we grew up in the 60s and 70s in this incredible place that we had. Now look at it. It's a bunch of fucking low self-esteem, self-internalizing the strife, fucking fucked up cowards. Baby boomers. None of them ever grew up. I call them baby bombers. And that's a good fucking word. And by the way, they're not much different here in fucking Europe. And there's just as many per capita baby bombers in Europe as there is in the U.S. And so all they want to talk about, oh, California, you go surfing. I go to New York. I'm like, do you know about the well, why would you want to surf in the Pacific Ocean? What? Huh? So that's just the big thing. It's just tour around. The world's nothing but Disneyland to all these people.
Fucking Kevin, don't even talk to me. Somebody that I know in Redondo Beach is still fucking surfing. And I'm like, Well, why are you know about Fukushima? You really do know about it. He's a follower of the Post Ignorance Project. I'm like, he's like, well, I try not to surf so much, but really, it is still a gigantic risk, and this is one of the things that's going to happen. 5 to 10 years, think of all the young boys that we're not going to hear about who get cancer, who have been surfers, who have, quote, survived.
Oh, I hear it. When I'm in California, I'm tied with the surfers. Now, Gino and all those guys at the old Santa Cruz Surfers Enclaves, they left. They sold out Santa Cruz and went to Chile. But, Radio Apple, Robert, and all those guys are hardcore fucking professional surfers. You know how many of those guys I fucking hear from when I'm down there that have quit surfing and that have come up with cancer? Oh, you ought to hear it. I mean, it's off the hook. You got to be insane to even go in the fucking Pacific Ocean. So the real surfers, the ones that know the surf, have been surfing for years, they don't go in there. They're the fuck out of there. So the ones that are still surfing are just the novelty fuckers that aren't real surfers anyway. It's like skiers who can't ski in Utah and surfers who can't surf in California. It's Disneyland. Let's go surfing. I'm cool.
This gets back to this so-called Iran deal. I personally think this Iran deal is going to be an excuse for war. They're going to figure out a reason that the Iranians aren't participating and figure out a reason to really start escalating the war, because the United States...
Well, I'll tell you what, I think it probably already would have, but you know that it was the 5-star Marine that blew the whistle on Obama Netanyahu's bullshit program. They were killing all the fucking... when they kill those people, they're putting bombs in their cars, and the so-called young scientists, they're killing their wives, their kids, and blowing them up. And then, somebody leaked it out that it was a secret program going between the Obama and what was it called, Sputnik or whatever. And then they're like, Holden comes out and says, oh, we're going to hammer him like Brady, like Bradley Manning. We're going to let it law. And then the guy finally come forward, and it was the 5-star Marine that was. And they says, oh, there'll be no charges. And I'm like, I guess it was. So, there's a fracture going on in the military. They fucking had it. I'm head of the atomic veterans. The Marines have fucking had it with their fucking men being human lab at it. So I think they want to pull that fucking game. I think they want to, but I think after what they did at Fallujah, the Nevada test site, whatever, I think the military's fucking had a gutful of fucking this shit. So they want to go into Iran. There's no doubt.
Well, you know what, Kevin? Obviously, not enough of a gutful to stand out. And really, we need protesters. Seriously, this is the only thing, I really believe this. This is the only thing that's going to scare the crap out of these politicians who are glad-handing and taking all these billions of dollars, is if they see 10, 15, 5,000 people in their own districts coming together, organizing, and just refusing to be afraid of the police state. Because, seriously... We are being threatened. Our lives, we're not just joking. The fucking planet is being killed by the nuclear cartel.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lonnie, I protest all over. You know that. And, I do some intense shit. I talk to police. I talk to security before I set up. I make a rule. Most time I'll go the day before, and I like to have long conversations with them about that. For the most part, the police and, they're very much on my side, and they very well will like me because I talk to them about cancer, I talk to them personally, but it's Homeland Security. That's who the pricks are. When we were at Million Mass March, those guys let us shut down the whole city. They're coming up and giving us food. We're talking D.C. cops, Capitol Police, they love this. But then we get over there by Homeland Security, they're tasering us for no reason. So... The whole, and that was supposed to be temporary. This Patriot Act bullshit and the Homeland Security, which is, it's the SS. It's fascism.
It is the SS. It is fascism. And just the Patriot Act, the unpatriot Act, as I call it, that is fascism. And, we get these senators, like we have a whole list of senators who in there, this is the ironic part. Like we see these ladies from Code Pink protesting. They're extremely committed. People in the country know who they are, and yet people refuse to join them. People really refuse to stand up for themselves. And don't you think? I think it's very ironic that it's only women and older people who are really willing to protest. The people in their 30s.
Well, we have our group at the Million Mass bunch. They're pretty good, but it's a small group. It's 1,500 people that are willing to get in the streets. Maybe 2,000 or 3,000 in the U.S. We have a big group in England, a few of them, but like I was talking to my friend in Denmark, he says, oh, fuck, you know how big our Occupy movement was? And he says, people on the street, he says, 15 of us at the peak, they're afraid. And, you know, they have the same issues here. You know, that they say, well, it's the fucking police state, you know, and the whole thing, they're fucking afraid of them. But I said, I'm like, well, you got to step out at some point. You got to show some fucking balls at some point and have a conversation with your police before you do it. You know, if you're going to go protest somewhere, go protest, walk up to the security guard, ask him, what's the rules? What do I need to do? Like in New York City. That's one thing de Blasio's done. You know, he's been arrested 4 times. We do some great activism in New York City. There's some guys that the problem is even when, like the climate march, 450,000 people there. Yet, how can you be talking about the climate being ruined and you're not talking about Fukushima?
Right.
You know, it's like, what the fuck? I mean, get on point. Start at the fucking top. Start at the very worst hardcore issue, which is Fukushima, which is nuclear. I mean, it's the top, you know, social inequality. It's the greatest violation of human rights there is in the nuclear industry. But people are afraid to have the conversations, and it takes a little bit of work to be educated about it. They don't know about Price-Anderson. They don't know about the IAEA headquartered here. They don't know that it's a shakedown. They don't know about uranium mines. They don't know about spent fuel. They think it's magic. And so they need to educate themselves.
You know, I think that's funny that yesterday when you were protesting, they were saying, you know, you're here to protest Chernobyl. I wonder how many people, they think that everybody's there to protest Chernobyl. It's kind of hilarious because they know that they did wrong by the people of Chernobyl.
Yes.
They know.
First words out of their mouth. Whereas I got no Chernobyl shirt, I got my FU shirt on, and my sign says Pacific Genocide, and I says, well, what makes you think I'm protesting Chernobyl? Oh, you're protesting Chernobyl. What? Well, what are you talking about? I'm protesting fucking the nuclear industry and fucking the fact they cancer extorted all my money, killed my father, and killed all these other people, you fucks. Well, what do you mean Chernobyl? So they're like trained monkeys.
Yeah.
You know, they're taught talking point, and, you know, and it's you know how the fucking French are so fucking nuclear. And by the way, Arriva is owned by the French government, and Arriva stock's down 80%, and they're going, and I want to say this too, most people in the United States think that everybody in Europe's all fucking EU'd up. No, they're not. I'm here to tell you, travel here, nobody wants fucking euros. Nobody. I mean, Austria, yes. Germany, but the rest of them, Denmark, fuck you. They won't take euros. Czech won't take euros. Hungary won't take fucking euros. Switzerland won't take euros. Nobody wants no part of the fuckers.
Wow.
You know, so we have this perception, just like that went on in Greece, that it probably turns out no, and yet this guy signs the deal anyway. So everybody knows it's a rigged game, that these guys are just imposing their will against the people's will, but yet people aren't willing to, you know, they are in Greece, they're turning out into the streets, and I imagine that's going to get pretty fucking crazy over there, but if we had every country doing what Greece is doing, they couldn't get away with it.
That's right. And that's the same thing with the nuclear cartel. If we had people standing out, like even at San Onofre, like, okay, there was a lot of activism in that little city to close that down. There was a lot of people engaged in making sure it stopped. But now that they've closed it down, they're still committing offenses. They're still leaking out. They're still doing nothing.
Well, you know why that, you're talking on the heels of Fukushima, one, and there was two, myself, I mean, my YouTube site was getting 30,000 views a day, and I'm screaming my head off in the bone marrow transit with a center line, nothing but San Onofre, pack the hearing. When I was down there, we had 1,200 people. The Post-Ignorance Project was probably responsible for 900 of them. I mean, everybody in there was there to feed me because I had the field then because of Fukushima and my cancer. And so, you know, this genre and what we all do is able to motivate people. But Fukushima's gone away. Kevin got better. You know, he didn't die. And so it's not so in-your-face compelling right now. And so we didn't accomplish anything at San Onofre, by the way. We got to shut down, but so what? The fuel's sitting there.
Right.
We got them nailed on felonies, and they raid their houses. They got the goods. They refused to charge them with any crimes. Moonbeamer Brown, who I protested in the 80s with at Diablo Canyon, he's took the Kool-Aid. Why are they not charging? And we know the feds won't do anything. So state police raided PV's house. I know PV and Chip. You see how I go in those fucking hearings. They're afraid of me. And so they raid them, and they find the goods right here in Poland. They're right here in Poland working a deal out on paper, how much they're chopping up the money they've extorted from the California ratepayer, and they're dividing it up between each other. Now, here's PV, head of the California Public Commissions. We're talking, that's a powerful position. And Cherry, who works for San Onofre, they're supposed to be opposing, and they're together making deals, and they prove it, yet they still don't charge them. I mean, the FBI raids their house, or not the FBI, state police. So these guys are like, we could commit any crime we want, even when they catch. They don't do nothing to us.
Kevin, don't you think that what happened, Santa Onofre, is a perfect example of what's wrong with the so-called anti-nuclear groups? Because they get it closed down, they do 3/4 of the work, and then they stop. Like, they didn't complete the task. Like, it's not enough to get the fucking plant closed down. We're talking about we need action to protect the people of California.
Well, when I was there this fall, in October, on October 27th, now, you think about this. At the Omni Spa and Resort, I'm $400 a night a room there. Now, why would a public hearing be there? You should have seen them in there. They have their families, their friends. I mean, drinking. While I'm in the bar, I got secret videos of them in there. By the way, I got a video today. Now, I got to run a bunch of these videos by my attorney when I get home. I'm just at the coffee shop today over there near this, and I look over and there's a guy filling out a paper on the spent fuel cycle from Fukushima. He's writing a piece and he's copying and pasting it, and I look, and so he didn't notice, and I filmed the whole fucking thing. I got him doing it. And so that's the thing, these guys. So we go to the hearing, they form another public commission, they fire a PR guy for California, pay him some ungodly sum of money. Gene Stone and Ace Hoffman and all these great activists that have done all the hard work, they're so softball now, they're like, oh, well, you know, talking about 50 years down the road, and let's entomb it. Now, Donna Young down there, she's intense. I'm intense. You know, we have a few people that really get it, but the rest of the activist community, they're the same old.
Well,
They're, you know, kumbaya.
That what they're trying to do is, quote, be reasonable. But what's ironic is they're attempting to be reasonable with an unreasonable industry. We cannot be patient with the nuclear cartel. We need to make sure that all of the nuclear power plants are closed down, not one more spent fuel rod is produced, and that the industry focus its attention on dealing with the spent fuel. The reason there's no solutions is they spend no money on it.
Well, I call it the Post-Ignorance Project, is opposite of the Manhattan Project. If we put all our fucking... You think about the resources that go to these fucking monsters.
Right.
Even if we had a tenth of those resources going to fucking handling the waste, it's like I told guys today. I live in Utah. We don't want your fucking waste. It's against law, and you're trying to backdoor through the Patriot Act. You fucking French fuckers want to make fucking nuclear waste. You eat the fucking waste. You're not going to put it on us. So, the uranium tailings. So, that's the thing. With the whole fucking industry, we come by yacht. Now, when I go on that land in San Onofre, and it's on fucking video, I say it just like it is. That stuff needs to come off that hill yesterday. We're talking about dry casting. That's the answer. Well, we have infrared of dry casting at number 3 at Fukushima that's leaking all over. Dry casting's not the answer. So these cores could probably handle up to an 8.2 or 3 at San Onofre and Diablo Canyon. San Onofre shut down. But the waste is overflowing. It went past capacity in 1991 at San Onofre. And Diablo. So they got, I've been in them. They got just swimming pool after swimming pool after swimming pool. They're so jam-packed where they just, I mean, it's only going to take a 7-point earthquake and it's going to tip those pools over and you're going to evacuate Los Angeles.
Right.
I mean, people don't fucking get it. It's, the most beautiful, it's insanity. It's totally insanity. And they're forming another public commission to talk about it again. When I was in the 60s sitting right there in Carlsbad at the same hearings, same exact word for word verbatim as when I was there in October this year. And me and Lori are the only protesters there. And I don't even live there.
Wow. Well, this is the issue. Is like this is what we have to remember is the nuclear cartel. They are run by greed and avarice. Like they have no end of energy to really destroy the planet because they want all of our money. They view all of us as disposable. We're just assets on a balance sheet. They don't give a flying fuck.
Well, these creepy fuckers too. I know a lot of them. I met them, and I see how they live. They're almost like they're dead. And they walk around in this weird fucking bubble where they don't even know what life is. They have no connection with the environment, no connection with fucking society, cultural fucking art. It's like they have no cerebral cortex. And so they're just they're zero fuckers with a lot of money. They just slosh through these comfortable fucking life. Oh, let's go to Switzerland by Lake Geneva and sit by the fucking edge, honey, and they fly around to their houses. I mean, I see them all over Europe and in the U.S. I talk to them. There's zero.
What's really sad is when they get cancer, they just accept the cancer is inevitable themselves, and they go.
Well, they got no fight. They're weakling fuckers. They're pussy weaklings. I'm in the number one unit. So Kimball Peterson's a rock star in the world. By the way, I hooked up with some nurses in Denmark that are apprenticing in leukemia units, and they met with me. You should have seen them. I mean, they're all just crying because they work there and they know what I have. And a Danish nurse, their nursing schools, to be a nurse in Denmark's like a doctor. You have to apprentice. They're like doctors. You have to go for school for years and years. They're the best nurses in the world, and their philosophy over there. So they have that, and they understand it. But these people, these oligarchs, fly into our units because we have such an elite unit. The survival rate's so high, and I've watched them. They get leukemia. They just fucking they're dead so fast it makes your head spin off because they don't know how to fight. They just haven't paid somebody to do everything. So they think they're going to pay somebody to save them, to fight cancer for them. And you can't. And when I was in California, I was in Capitola, and I met this woman, beautiful fucking woman. She was with her ex-husband, and he had moved back in with her to take care of her because she's in severe cancer. And we went to dinner together. And I says, look, and I told them both right to their face, look, I know you want to help her, and I know you love her. And you step back in her life trying to, he says, oh yeah. I says, you cannot fight cancer for her. You can't. You need to distance yourself. You can't. She's got to do it herself, and you've got to get her motivated off her ass because you're making her comfortable, and she thinks you're going to fight it for her. It's not going to work. So that's the point of, I hope my story, my activism and my fight has shown the path because I've survived a disease that you just don't survive.
Well,
it's like the Danish nurse.
There's a lot of evidence that's coming out that really it doesn't matter the disease, it matters your head. Like your will to live can overcome your DNA. You can choose to live, and you have to want to fight to live, and that's called human survival. That's called human fitness. In the scientific world, it's the ability to reproduce and the ability to survive and make, live, eat, and fight. And humans have that capacity. We can choose to live beyond cancer. What we're fighting really is, like Ed says, it's a pre-programmed complacency where people just accept the death, they even accept being complacent when you challenge them and say, well, why are you complacent? Well, because, what else?
Don't raise your voice. Oh, my God, if you raise your voice, we're going to taser you. We're so fucking passing down not to raise our voice that we don't know how to fight, which we have it in her. So I was talking to a guy in Denmark, and he says, God, Kevin, I don't know that I'd be able to do what you do. And I'm like, why? Why would you? You don't know that until you get it. And then you search your soul. I'm head of the support group, so I go and talk to you. Search your soul and find it in there. It's in there. It's in there. Unleash it. Unfucking leash it. Let it out. Who gives a fuck what the whole world... We know people, and that's why, women... We're taught, especially women, they're taught not to raise their voice and be loud. You ought to see our hospital. We run ads over there. Sometimes it's good to fight back. They have these women. And it's motivated because you have to get loud and open and let the whole world into your fight. We know statistically those people out survive.
Right.
You've got to wear your heart on a sleeve, just like I've done. You've got to let the whole world in.
The thing is, this is the one thing that attracted me to you, and when the beginning of the fight is that you love your life. Like, you have a big heart. Like, you're very sensitive. I think that's why you get a little bit abrasive, because you're sensitive. And you wear that out on your sleeve. And the fact is like, you wanted to live. You were fighting. When I first saw you on the videos, you were like 30, 40, 50 pounds lighter, looking like the doom of death. And you were like, fuck this. I'm living. I'm not going to give up. Fuck you. You're not killing me. And you know what? Like, that is what saved you. And that's the thing. I think that's probably the biggest threat to the nuclear cartel, because they're just planning on everybody dropping off like flies.
Oh, they're afraid of guys like me. We could kick their ass everywhere. If we had a bunch of us like you and I, we had a big group, we would kick their ass so fast, we would be the Spartacans, we would beat the fuck out of them. All of them, because they're pussies. They're fucking sissies.
They actually do have lots of people, and that's the thing. That's what's the value of this radio show. We have lots of people, and I understand that. When I first met you, I didn't want anybody to know my name. I created my YouTube channel, Nuts for Art, because I didn't want to use my name. When I first went onto YouTube, I used my name, and there were some malicious trolls that said horrible things to me, so I got scared. And it worked on me. And then little by little, I'm realizing if all of us don't step out and be counted, there is going to be nobody to count. And that's literally what we're talking. And every one of us represents 100,000 of the animals in the ocean. Every one of us represents all those little tiny crustaceans, all the krill that are being killed. If each one of us could stand for all of those creatures, we can overcome the nuclear cartel and force the people in that industry to grow a conscience, to remember what it means to love life, instead of just using us all like fucking lab rats, like that science.
Yeah, I tell people like this, what the fuck you got to lose? And everybody that I really talk to, just go for a walk. That's all people have to do. Go for a walk and see the animals, and see the birds, and see the whales. Sit there and really watch them for a couple days. Pay attention to them, and your soul will open wide up. It's so spectacular, and it's so grand, and here we got the mighty, incredible blue lady. The greatest grand. It makes me literally cry. It breaks my heart. You walking up there and watching that literally makes me cry. It's so grand. It's so breathtaking. It's so beautiful. And you just unleash that and set your soul free, which we all did when we were young in the 60s and 70s, just like you. Grew up in Southern California in that sun. You know how full of love freaking Southern California, how great it was then.
The thing is to remember is like, when people look at the birds and the animals and the trees, they're not freaked out about being able to make a living. They're not freaked out about, having to find food, because it is there. The universe gives us everything. The life is a planet of life. This culture of death, the species, we're in the 6th extinction level event, and mammals are dropping off like flies faster and at a rate of any prior level of extinction.
Oh,
and the humans,
it's a fucking disaster.
It is because of humans, and the only way that we're going to save our species and save the species left on this planet is by us choosing that we want to live. So those people that are listening to us, the reason we're here twice a week and hopefully more on this radio station is because we want people to get motivated and find the courage to step out and start speaking out. Call your representatives, organize protests, get out there, and it's up to every one of us. It's not just one or two people or 10 or 20 or 50. This is what's wrong with the Beyond Nuclear people. They've gone way corporate. Yeah, he gets on television all the time. He gets to talk all the time. But is he organizing protests to raise awareness? Are they organizing people to get out? He
told Kevin Camp told Ackerman right to his face. Ackerman went and met him. Told Ackerman right to his face. And Ackerman had trouble with his camera. He had his camera on. And he told Ackerman in his face he wasn't anti-nuclear.
Wow.
He told him that to his face. They're doing it for the money. When I was there, John Hurley himself, that's the lion. John Hurley is the head of the National Press Corps for fucking 50 years. He came to see me. He had Goldie Hawn with him, by the way. She was there to visit. Fucking Goldie actually kissed me right on the mouth when I gave my speech. She says, I got to tell you, Kevin, I listened to your speech. It made me cry. And so he come up to me and he says, Kevin, Kevin Camps is the guy in this town, but him and his wife show up to every party, everything. He says he makes about $150,000 a year. It's just a big club for them. And I said, yeah, I know that. And, and he had a long talk with me, and he gave me a lot of motivation. So there's been some people show up that believe in me. They're out there, and they're like, you keep going. Just because it's like I tell Ackerman all the time, it's not how many people are paying attention, it's who's paying attention. We have the Million Mass Group, by the way, they're powerful.
It is about how many people. We really need people, because we do have listeners, we do have followers, and we need those people who are timidly listening, going, what can I do? They whatever it is that sparks in their brain, they can do. This is what I encourage people. The same advice that Carl Grossman gave to his listeners when I heard him on the radio show. He said he was being interviewed by Helen Caldicott. She's like, right after Fukushima, like, what? It's so catastrophic. What can people do? Carl Grossman said, you know what? I everybody out there that's listening, but whatever you think you can do, go do it. Like, take action.
Yes.
Don't tell yourself no. And because of that, I contacted you, and we got serious about formulating the Post-Ignorance Project. Here we are on a radio station on UCY.TV radio, twice a week, hopefully more. I mean, you know, this is the idea. It's a slow slog. People are slow to get their courage up. I get that. I was slow to get my courage up. I completely understand.
But you did it. That's the whole thing. The first step. The first step's the toughest step. Like when I walked California, you know, I go there. I remember, you know, and I take the first step with the monk. I'm like, you know what you're in for, Kevin? Do you have any idea you're really going to walk 400 fucking miles every day with nothing but a fucking sleeping bag? You know, you're really going to do it? Then I just took the first step. And then you take the second step, and then you find your courage. You're like, oh, my God. You find things inside yourself that you didn't even know. Just like here. You wouldn't believe some of the places I've been in this gig. I've done this. You and I have done this for 4 years. Why, in critical condition, when you first contact, you know, I was paddling up the fucking money that I've had come into me. Fuck, we're talking less than $30,000 in 4 years.
Right.
Who could do that? So it's amazing if you set your mind to it, what you can do.
Right. And,
I mean, not only that, look where you get. I mean, the people you meet, the places you end up, the thing. I could tell you stories that people will never know by YouTube camera. That will. I mean, so emotional, so incredible that I'm like, did that just happen? I'm like, oh my God. Did I just meet that person, just have that?
This is the beautiful part about this type of activism, about all of it. Whenever we start stepping out, is really we get reminded of how completely lovely human beings really are. Human beings just want love. This is how simple we are. We want love, we want to be touched, we want connection, and we want community, and we want peace. And I've said this many times. We want peace we want peace so badly, we are willing to let 300 or 400 people fucking destroy the planet because we want peace so badly.
Yeah.
We are willing to
because we're just afraid to raise our voice. You know, it's my little grandson. You know, and he's named after my father who was killed. You know, both my little grandsons born right after 3/11. They're a week apart. My little grandson, they're little boys. They're little teeny boys. You know, I'm at my house. We paint together. We do things together. They'll wrap their arms around me, and they'll say, Grandpa, I love you. You know, and, you know, from the time they're little boys. And just kiss me and wrap their arms around me and say, you know, that's what it is. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm going to let them go down the drain? I don't think so. I'm going to defend them at all costs. At every fucking fiber of my being, I'm going to defend those. I'm going to defend them. That's what we do.
This is why we do it, because even though, like, my daughter's the same way. Like, even though my children refuse to get actively engaged in stopping this because they are not there yet. They don't understand the threat. They seriously think we're extreme. But you know what? This is what they don't comprehend. They are choosing to believe that it's not so extreme because it means that they have to stop everything and demand that this system change its entire course. We need to right the ship. We are a gigantic ship headed for the
and
ice.
we could do it. We can do it. Well, this country's, I mean, the United States is the beacon. We did it. I mean, you think about after the war, World War II, look at the accomplishments we made. Look at the things we did as far as society. We were a good society. Yeah, granted, the Vietnam, but we stood up to fucking Vietnam. We took to the fucking streets, told them, fuck you. You know, the music, the art, the culture. As a generation, I mean, it's amazing what we did. Yet, we don't do it anymore. Why? We could do it again. We could do it again.
You know why we don't do it? It's a planned attack. Once these oligarchs realized that, well, we really have the power, they came after us, they infiltrated, they arrested people, they scared people, they brought in the cocaine epidemic, they did it intentionally, they've addicted America.
Yeah, but still, we can overcome all that. We can kick their ass.
That is true, brother. That is a true enough statement.
Well, I tell people all the time, you think about Santa Onofre, getting Santa Onofre shot. Remember when I used to say Santa Onofre? I was at the hearing, and I told everybody there, I said, the vibe just went over me. I mean, I was so sick, man. You know, Jan Snooky the Clown says, you got to go, Kevin, paid for me to go down there. Before I even came to Eugene, I was so sick. I went there, and everybody's, Kevin, I want my picture taken, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I could just feel the energy of the people. And I says, they're done. I can tell you right now, San Onofre will never fucking reopen. They're done. Everybody's like, even the hardcore activists down there, they're like, Kevin, you're crazy. There's no way. And then I says, we're going to hit the beach on D-Day. We're going to hit the beach. And sure shit on D-Day, they come out and says, no. I could feel it. I could feel it was true. It was organic. It was raw. And that energy was so powerful in that church in San Clemente that night. Even the pastor come up to me and he says, oh, my God, Kevin, I can't believe the power and the energy of the voices in here tonight. And I'm like, they're done. And it was just 1,200 people.
Wow.
And, I mean, they stayed late. And then you could just feel, I mean, their energy was so, I didn't have to speak because they kicked me out, wouldn't even let me speak right after the get, just like they did there. They were waiting. The people that watched my YouTube were all there. They spoke for me. And they spoke beautifully. So, that energy was epic in that fucking room. It's one of the few times I've never felt such fucking energy. Not that many people, but it was so fucking powerful. And they knew it. They felt the energy. So, we could do this just like me kicking the cancer out. The doctor, because he knows me, he says, Kevin, he says, most 51-year-old men, just like this nurse that I was hanging around down with, she's like, a 51-year-old guy survived de novo. I've been apprenticing in an AML leukemia unit for the last 3 years. Nobody 51. I says, but he knew me. And he says, Kevin, I know your intensity. I know your fight. I know your love. I know your spirit. I believe in you. And those guys I would send home to die. Why waste all the money? But I believe in you. So we have to believe in ourselves, and we have to believe in this fight. We can win this fight. And
that's true. And we can't.
To give up, we can't give up.
Exactly. And this is the thing. We're not doing this just to piss in the wind. We're doing it to make a real change, to help people get their courage. And we really need to, when you say unite the clans, that's exactly what it's going to require. We are going to need people to step out of the box and start realizing the real threat that our planet is under and literally demand that these people give us solutions instead of bullshit lies, starting to tell us that, now we're in the modern age and we don't have the same problems from nuclear as we used to. Bullshit. But that's killing just as many people.
I met with Frida Miserblau. She's so famous, and if Austria doesn't prove you that it could be done, that's one woman. She was so hardcore. She says, I would go to people's houses. We'd walk through the streets, go to their farms, whatever. Tell them, hey, if you're a dairy farmer, right? Yeah. Well, if you had no answer for the waste and nowhere to put the waste, would you do it? She says, we did it. She ran for president. I mean, she's so famous in this town.
Tell me what she did again, Kevin. We have 2 minutes. She walked to people's houses.
They had the reactor all built and ready to go here. They took right to the streets. They walked door to door in the 70s, knocked on people's doors, sat down and just organized. And a week before they were to fuel it, the movement got so big that Austria stood up and said, fuck you. So it's the only reactor on Earth. I've been in it, and I'm probably going to go back in it again in the next couple of days with her. And, they have bar in there that never got fueled.
Wow.
And they're so conscious. What they've accomplished in Austria is staggering. In their food chain, they're no nuclear. They kicked them out. They kicked them all out.
When you go back and visit her, I hope that you're able to take a video interview and she'll allow you to post it up. It would be really great because that's what we need to know. How do you do it? And really, it's just a matter of deciding you're going to do the impossible.
Well, look her up. Her name's Frida Miserblau. Look her up and check. Wow. What an amazing. And she's 88 years old with a heart transplant. And she told me, I said to her kid, she says, Kevin, I'm nominating you for the Alternative Nobel Prize. She says, you're so intense, you're so great, you're passionate, you're everything. And she's still intense. She's still passionate, but she's so elegant, so great. But, you could just feel her energy across the kitchen table.
Meeting her is worth going to Europe for because that's the kind of activism we need to learn how to do that here.
Yes.
So we're going on. We have like a minute and a half left, Kevin. Is there anything you want to say? I do want to encourage people to contribute to the Post-Ignorance Fund. I think we need about $3,000 more to keep you there until September. Ackerman says 3,000, and I'm going to go with him because he knows Europe quite well. So
he lived there for years.
I'm encouraging people to please go to the Post-Ignorance Project page and contribute as generously as you possibly can. Is there anything else you want to say, Kevin? We've got
I'm keeping my eye on San Diego right now, big time, because Paul down there, which is wonderful, and I'm friends with him, the attorney, and they've had the motion. So as soon as that breaks, I'm going to be my ass right back in San Diego. That's a big deal. That's a big
Yeah.
deal. We need to keep our eyes on San Diego on the USS Reagan trial.
Yeah, well,
Big time, because that can help us a
join you.
lot.
If it's in the fall, I'll probably join you because I'm not going to school this fall. So, thanks for listening.
All
Yeah,
nuclear
so-
fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. All
I love that
nuclear
intro.
fighters, all hands on deck, all hands on deck, all hands on deck. They'll be calling you a radical. Twin Gate, 311, whatever you want to